The Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing is the undisputed archetype of the high-performance classic. Decades of million-dollar auction results and design awards have solidified its status as the world's first true supercar. Its defining feature, the upward opening doors, is recognized universally. Those sweeping side panels have become a visual shorthand for exotic luxury, copied by designers for the last 70 years. Look past the silhouette, however, and the design becomes less about art and more about desperation. The 300 SL wasn't a product of a styling studio, it was an engineering accident. In 1951, Mercedes-Benz was fighting for survival. Recovering from a global conflict with ruined factories, the board decided returning to international motorsport was the only way to restore their reputation. There was no budget to develop a new racing engine. Instead, engineers were forced to repurpose a heavy 3.0-liter inline-six built for a conservative passenger sedan. This sedan engine produced just 115 horsepower. Compared to the purpose-built racing units from Ferrari and Jaguar, Mercedes was entering the track with a massive power deficit. To win at Le Mans with an underpowered block, the team had to overcompensate everywhere else. They had to build a chassis that was lighter and more aerodynamic than anything their rivals could imagine. Chief engineer Uhlenhaut's solution was a triangulated tubular space frame, weighing only 181 pounds. This geometry provided immense torsional rigidity under the extreme forces of high-speed cornering. But the load-bearing tubes ran directly through the middle of the cabin, completely blocking the standard entry path. Cutting these side tubes to make room for a conventional door would sever the diagonal braces, causing the chassis to lose its rigidity and collapse. Without a way to enter through the sides, engineers moved the hinges to the roof. The iconic Gullwing doors were a forced structural workaround, not a styling choice. The engineering dominoes continued to fall. To maximize their low horsepower, the car required a radically sloped aerodynamic hood to reduce wind resistance. The conflict was immediate. The sedan engine was physically too tall to fit under this new lower bodyline. The team's fix was simple but radical. They tilted the engine 50 degrees to the side, lowering its profile just enough to clear the hood. Tilting the engine meant the standard oil pan no longer worked. Mechanics threw it out for a complex dry sump lubrication system, proving the quest for a low hood line dictated even the car's internal plumbing. This compromised racer, the W194, became a dominant force. It swept the 1952 season, including a historic overall win at Le Mans. When U.S. importer Max Hoffman saw the results, he demanded a production version for America. But turning a stripped-down racer into a luxury road car added significant weight. With the added mass of a leather interior and steel body panels, the sedan engine wasn't powerful enough to maintain its supercar performance. Mercedes turned to aviation. They adapted mechanical direct fuel injection technology, originally used in WWII-era fighter planes, to deliver fuel with surgical precision. It was the first time this aviation technology appeared in a production sports car. The result was an immediate 25% spike in power, bringing the total to 240 horsepower. This boost pushed the 300 SL to 161 miles per hour. Built from sedan parts and aircraft tech, it was the fastest car on Earth. While the consumer 300 SL was magnificent on paper, its racing DNA made it uncompromising for daily use. Because of those roof-mounted hinges, the side windows couldn't roll down. On warm days, the lack of airflow turned the cabin into a sweltering greenhouse.
Entry remained a physical challenge, requiring drivers to fold themselves over high sills that rose to nearly elbow height. Behind the driver, the swing axle suspension was prone to violent snap-oversteer. It was a high-strung racing machine poorly disguised as a luxury product. The 1957 300 SL Roadster acted as a direct correction to these flaws. Engineers redesigned the space frame to lower the sills, tamed the rear suspension, and finally provided standard roll-up windows. The moment the structural necessity of the high space frame vanished, Mercedes abandoned the Gullwing doors entirely. They weren't a design signature. They were a burden the factory was eager to shed. In an era of focus-grouped aesthetics, the Gullwing remains an outlier. It reached its iconic status not by prioritizing beauty, but by relentlessly solving for speed, a rare instance where the sheer math of survival engineering resulted in a work of art.